If they do that, the Cougs will be very, 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 very tough to beat.
Off the window, no. Roberts tried to get it. Shed for the win. Got it.
Just with 14 points, but he just looked, the way that he dominated the game was in controlling the pace and making smart decision after decision.
Call the five slammer down.
Go to pizza spot before or after.
The dream is alive for Houston. Go Cougs! Let's go!
Welcome in on this Saturday afternoon for this edition of Let's Rage Coogs, presented by the Saxenian Family, coming off the heels of the 15th ranked Houston Cougars men's basketball team's 87-51 victory over Texas A&M Corpus Christi to finish the non-conference portion of the schedule for the 24-25 season. Joining me is Kris Gardner of the Houston Round Ball Review. Dayon won't be able to hop on today's show, so it's just me and Kris today. Kris, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing pretty well. It's going to be probably a brief show because I got to go meet some folks. But yeah, as T.I. says, thank you, T.I., for chiming in, everybody joining us on the platforms. It was another get-right win for the Cougs, some nagging injury to some players. But rebounding, I just think this team is a little different, Andy, than what we're used to. They ended up winning the rebounding battle, but they're shooting so well. You know, it's unlike previous Cougs teams. At one point, the team was like 14 for 22 from three. We aren't used to that, Andy. You know, I mean,
yeah.
So, you know, they won by 36. A&M Corpus Christi is not a Big 12, caliber team, but hey. The team did play. The Cougs played faster today, so I know Dayon has touched on that before, and some of the viewers have as well. They played faster. Coach Sampson mentioned it in some of his media calls as also. So quicker pace. Different guys rebounded. Malik Wilson hit the boards. Thank goodness, because some of the other dudes seemed averse to getting rebounds. But Terrence Arsenal got the start in place of Dayon Roberts, who is resting an injury. Terrence didn't rebound well at all in the first half, but he did score some points to finish the game with 13 points, so that was good. Andy, I was thinking when I saw Emmanuel Sharp step back after making a three, rolling his ankle on the at the edge of the court, and then Javier Francis getting injured. I was like, oh my gosh, it's one of those things again, man.
Yep.
It's gonna be like that again.
There was some maybe it was just a bad juju all around at the Fertitta Center, because that when Emmanuel Sharp rolled it, he didn't even step on anyone.
Yeah,
literally bad placement. And they showed the replay on the CBS broadcast. He rolled it, and I mean, all things considered, Emmanuel Sharp was able to come back to the game. So hopefully it's a good sign for Houston. It's not anything serious, but certainly bad luck in the moment. It was definitely painful because he immediately fell to the ground and had to go to the bench. But same thing with Javier Francis, like you had mentioned just a minute ago. Dayon Roberts didn't play in this game. Seems like it always creeps up with this Houston team, but I mean, it's barely December. It doesn't seem like anything was serious, so take it and just go on. And hopefully they have 9 days now to heal up and rest before their Big 12 conference opener in Stillwater against Oklahoma State, and hopefully they're fine. All Cougars are fine by that game. We didn't even mention Ramon Walker, who, like you mentioned, you texted to me during the game, has a cast and will be out for at least 4 weeks with that hand injury. So
it looked like his thumb was the main part that was wrapped. So I wonder if he broke it or something like that on the shooting hand. So just injuries going all around. Hopefully get them out the way now. Rather have them in December than have them February or March. So
yep. Well, I mean, let's get into the game specifically. So like you said, Kris, a strong offensive performance for this Houston Cougars team. They had 46 points at halftime, and they put up to another 40 piece in the second half. I think top to bottom, like you mentioned, rebounding was an area, especially offensive rebounding or not being able to finish the defensive position by getting defensive rebounds, allowing A&M Corpus Christi to get offensive rebounds was a struggle, specifically in the first half. I think Houston in that second half, they cleaned it up, especially first 10 minutes of that second half, like they turned up the defensive intensity after allowing Texas A&M Corpus Christi to score 27 points in the first half. They had held them to 9 points, 12 minutes in the second half to only hold them to 9 points. They had turned up the defensive intensity, which you expected for this Cougars team. And I mean, honestly, I think the biggest takeaway is that they look clean, they look good, and it, like you said, Kris, it was kind of one of those final. It literally was those final tune-up games before they start Big 12 conference play, and hopefully they've been able to find their rhythm offensively, and there's still a lot of things that they have to clean up and are just going to have to do better once they get into Big 12 conference play, because those teams will certainly exploit that. If, like, going back to the inability to finish the defensive possessions with rebounds, that could be something that costs them come Big 12 conference play.
Yeah, Corpus Christi had like 8 offensive rebounds in the first half. They missed shots. Cougs did not miss a lot of shots, but they gave themselves second chance opportunities. And an issue, even with Dayon in games earlier this season, but not today, is the rebounding from the 4 spots, 3 and 4 positions. They have to rebound. JoJo did his part. Terrence early did not do his part. Emmanuel didn't do his part. Coach Sampson has challenged that wing position to rebound, and Emmanuel has to be the rebounder. Malik Wilson stepped up in the second half to crash the boards. It's got to come from that wing position, the 2, the 3, the 4 spot, to get the boards, especially against bigger teams, but especially when the Cougs go basically 1 big and 4 guards. They got to, those shorter players have to crash the boards. You got to help out the bigs, and they didn't do that well in the first half, but did a much better job in the second half. And the offense just was rolling for most of the ball game, which is good to see.
Yeah, going back to that first half, 8 offensive rebounds for Texas A&M Corpus Christi turned into 7 second chance points for them, and Houston was able to. Well, I think defensively they forced Texas A&M Corpus Christi into 21 misses in the second half, but still they were able to get 9 offensive rebounds. So that's an area that they have to clean up with. And top to bottom, you mentioned guard rebounding. LJ Cryer had 17 points, 0 rebounds. Milo Zuzan, 12 points, 6 assists, only 2 rebounds. Emmanuel Sharp, 18 points, 0 rebounds. Terrence Arsenal did a much better job, 13 points, 5 rebounds. But that's going to be something that most definitely Kelvin Sampson is going to harp on, those 3 players in particular, LJ, Milos, and Emmanuel Sharp. For those 3 players to be confined just 2 rebounds, that's not something that Kelvin Sampson and his staff are going to be happy with.
Yeah, Coach, he doesn't really expect LJ to be one of the leading rebounders from the guard spots because of who and where he's defending. Mm-hmm. But Milos and Terrence and Emmanuel have to do a better job on the boards consistently. Malik crashed the boards and 11 rebounds, and he was the one to get it done from that spot, from that guard/wing spot. He had 9 rebounds in the second half, 9 of his 11 in the second half. But offensively, the Cougs scored almost 1.5 points per possession in this ball game. for a Kelvin Sampson Houston team, that's almost unheard of, man. So this team is just, I think, going to be different than what we're used to previous Cougar teams. They're still going to win. They're just going to do a little bit differently. Because defense is there, but you got to finish the possessions with a defensive board and not giving up those second and third opportunities for the opponents. Because Big 12 is not, and Corpus Christi is not a Big 12 team.
Yeah, okay. And sticking with Malik Wilson, though, he's honestly, since Ramon Walker's went down, he's a 2-game small sample size, but he's done a good job filling in, kind of stepping up for that void that Ramon Walker's left. And like you mentioned, those 11 rebounds, 9 of them coming in the second half, that's what he's got to come in and contribute during his stints that he has on the court. Especially, again, he's going to be a vital, important role with Ramon Walker out once Houston begins conference play.
And Malik did a good job of pushing tempo as well, playing faster. It was good to see Milos push the ball up the floor a few times, and he even had one of, as Dayon touched on it a few times in our shows, one of those Jamal Shed to Cryer 3-pointers in transition. He just to LJ on the right side. LJ splashed the 3. So I think the more and more they play together, the chemistry will continue to improve offensively, especially coming off their 4 for 24 as a team in the previous game. But offense, as long as they continue to play faster, and we're not talking about some, out of the ordinary, fast-paced team that plays, but faster for the Cougs, faster for a Kelvin Sampson team. They do that. This offense, I think, will be very good and different than what everybody's used to the last 10 seasons.
As a team, they shot 14 of 29 from the three-point line, which they had it going today. When this Houston Cougars team, if they're hot, to couple it with their defense, they're really hard to beat, regardless of whoever is on the other side of the court going against Houston. Real quickly, I'd like to thank each and every single person that's taking their time out of their Saturday afternoon to join us on this edition of Let's Rage Coogs. And of course, we also like to say thank you to our sponsors, beginning with Mr. Steve Saxenian, who is the primary sponsor of not only this episode of Let's Rage Coogs, but will be and has been the primary sponsor all season long, going back to August 31st when the Houston football team began their season, and will continue to do so throughout the entire rest of the men's basketball season. So big thank you to Mr. Steve Saxenian for being a primary sponsor. And of course, we also like to say thank you to Star Pizza for being a secondary sponsor on today's episode of Let's Rage Coogs. With 3 locations throughout the Houston area, Star Pizza is your go-to stop before or after the game. Be sure to visit them online at starpizza.net to check out their variety of options, and be sure to follow them online as well at Star Pizza HOU. Getting back into this game specifically between the Islanders and the Cougars, let's talk a little bit about the bigs for Houston. Like we mentioned, no Juwan Roberts, so JoJo Tugler. What you think? You know what? I guess it kind of talking about the bigs, but the starting lineup that Kelvin Sampson went with today didn't opt for the JoJo Tugler, JVA Francis starting lineup, inserted Terrence Arsenault instead. What did you think of that move and what you saw from Terrence as a starter?
Starter first 6 minutes, Terrence had the same number of boards as me and you, and Miss Wanda and Crabtree and Big Jack. Everybody watching. That's not good, folks. 6 minutes as a starter and have 0 from the 4th spot where Terrence was today, 0 boards. That's not going to get it done. I texted you at that point when he gave up another CC Corpus Christi offense rebound. Coach Sampson took his ass out because he just wasn't getting it done. He's got to do better. He did a better job as the game progressed. I wasn't surprised that Coach did not go with Jay and JoJo together to start in 5 because they kind of clog up the paint. Good fresh spacing to have Terrence on the floor, and it's a different look. Javier, he played better as he got more minutes as the game progressed as well. So that's a plus going forward. JoJo he's just a ball of energy. He hustles, rebounds are there. The fouls from the bigs kind of slowed, which is good, which is a key because with or without Juwan, Javier, JoJo have to avoid foul trouble in conference play. But you saw Cedric Lott get some minutes as well. That's because, Juwan didn't play. But Ced's minutes, what do you have? 12 minutes, 2 boards. I think those 2 boards came in the final moments of the game, or, late minutes in the second half. He's got to do a better job of hitting the board as well. As a big, you got to rebound for any Coach Sampson offense and defense. But the numbers, Andy, this is Emmanuel Sharp, 3 for 5 from 3. LJ Cryer, 5 for 7 from 3. Terrence Arsenault, 3 for 6 from 3. Milos Uzan, 2 for 2 from 3. I mean, what is that? That's 8, 11, 13 for 20 from your 4 guys right there.
Yep.
That's awesome. That kind of shooting won't happen a lot, especially in Big 12 play. But if that foursome can combine probably and make 10 threes, let me say 8 to 10 threes in Big 12 play on efficiently, that's going to go a long way for the Cougs and should help them win games that some folks might be kind of surprised. Hey, the Cougs winning with offense this season. Who knew?
Yeah, and to go along with that stat, free throw line. Houston got to the line 25 times. They were 21 of 25 from the free throw line, which is another area that not necessarily accustomed to when looking at previous years. Cougs teams, a big reason for that was Emmanuel Sharp, who was aggressive, got to the line 9 times, hit all 9 free throws, but Javier Francis 3 for 4 from the free throw line, top to bottom, a lot of different players being able to convert. But that's, again, kind of going back to what you mentioned, Kris, the offensive ability that this Houston Cougars team has is really something that they're going to have to rely on to being able to maybe win games in a few different ways than we have the traditional Calvin Sampson teams the last few years.
And Coach Sampson, he said it. He has said it. He likes this team, and he believes this team will continue to get better and has a high ceiling. And offensively, this team has a bright future. The key and the defense is solid. But the difference with this year's team so far, in previous Cougs defenses is, other than the last 2 games, or the game since San Diego State and then today, they cleaned it up, getting those defense rebounds, is finishing the defensive possession with the board. So they're able to have teams miss their first shot.
Yeah.
But this team, in spurts, in stretches, which you have to clean up for conference play, has not been able to finish the possession with the defensive rebound enough for, I'm sure, Coach Sampson and the staff, and honestly, probably the players as well, to their liking.
What do you attribute that to so far this season? Is it as simple as they just have to box out better and go after rebounds, or what have you seen from Houston in that
Probably that's part of it. A lot of different factors. You got to box out better. You got to hold your position, hold your man off. You got to have guys who just go get the ball. Some players are just better at rebounding within their area. Other players like JoJo, they go get it. The ball, with your long arms, long reach, you can just go get some balls some other players just can't get. The Cougs have guys right now who are just rebounding within their area. They need some of the guys to be able to go get a ball. And some of the bad luck as well with the loose balls. We saw a few times today after a block shot, a Cougs block shot. Ball bounces into another Corpus Christi player, and he gets the loose ball. Things like that. You can't really help because you play good defense to block the shot. But the ball didn't bounce your way. So it all adds up, and we'll see if it turns a little bit come conference play, because they're going to have to. They're going to have to be more physical. I mean, they're still a physical team.
Yeah.
But the guards and the wings are going to have to do their part and finish those defensive possessions with the board.
Heading into conference play now, 11 games under the belt of Milos Uzan. What have you seen enough? Does he look much more comfortable in this offense heading into conference play, where you feel like the team and he himself are in a good spot, or is there something that maybe you're a little concerned about heading into a December 30th matchup against the Cowboys?
I just wanted to continue being aggressive, stay aggressive. I harp on this. I'm going to beat the poor horse into a coma. I want him to keep his dribble alive. Stop picking up his dribble, especially on the perimeter. You are the point guard. Keep the ball dribbling. If you got to dribble through the defense, go baseline and bring it back out on the perimeter, keep the ball alive with your dribble. Do not pick it up. Don't look around looking lost. Keep the ball active with your dribble, because you are the leader. You are the floor general. The team will go with what you do when you call a play. You just ask guys to move with a purpose and cut to the basket. But keep that dribble alive, because that will help him and his teammates maintain flow on offense.
Once again, the final score here from the Fertitta Center in Houston's final non-conference game of the season. Cougars defeat the Islanders 87-51 to close out their non-conference portion of the schedule and finish with a record of 8-3 in non-conference. Again, they start Big 12 conference play on December 30th in Stillwater against Oklahoma State. Looking at the individual numbers, like I said at the top of the show, Emmanuel Sharp led the way in scoring with 18 points, an efficient 18 points, including 9 of 9 from the free throw line, just 3 of 6 from the field. LJ Cryer was right behind him with 17 points, and a very efficient 5 of 7 shooting, like Kris, you mentioned. Milo Luzan had 12 points, 6 assists himself. Terrence Arsenal, 13 points, 5 rebounds. Malik Wilson, 8 points. 11 rebounds. Javier Francis, 9 points, 0 rebounds in this game. And Mercy Miller, 4 points, and he got 5 rebounds himself in those 18 minutes of play that he got. I want to put up this comment from E.I. Crabtree. Says, scoring and shots in the paint, helper rebounding, playing through the front court. What do you think about that? Do you think that could be a facet where the Cougars are able to benefit when it comes to the rebounding aspect if they're playing more through the front court, which, I mean, they really haven't been able to so far through non-conference this season for various reasons.
Yeah, it's Coach Sampson has touched on it. He has meant he would like to play more through his bigs, more through Dayon, more through JoJo. I'm going to toss Terrence in there as a big, as a front court player when he has a post-up advantage on his defender. But y'all know me. Anybody who follows me on the platforms, on the YouTube channels, on Houston Roundbar View, on social media, Twitter, or Blue Sky, Spoutable, Instagram, TikTok, whatever. Y'all know I love low post offense, getting the ball down the block. You have an advantage, go to it. Let the offense play through that low post option, force the defense to make a decision. Are they going to double team the low post, which opens up your 3-point shooting on the perimeter, or are they going to get killed one-on-one in the low post? The Cougs really don't have yet, because Juwan has not been very good offensively. A lot of his jump hooks have rolled out a lot so far this season. So they have not really had a one-on-one advantage on the block yet. But you saw JoJo had a nice jump hook with his right hand. The Cougs big men, JoJo and Javier, they like going to their left hand jump hooks. It's like that's how they're coached.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I want to see them go back to the right hand. It's almost like they're so locked in on going to the left hand that it might be just best to pivot back to your right hand. That your strong hand might be the advantage to you. I liked Jay when he was patient enough. He even took a couple of dribbles to get to the rim. His defender fell down, and Jay's like, oh. He turned and dunked. Sometimes if you just take one more little beat, one more pause, your right hand, your strong hand is the better shot. Other time, of course, your left hand, your offhand is more necessary. But it's not. You don't have to always go to your left hand, But yeah, you had a good word, programmed. It's like they're just programmed in to automatically go with their left hand jump hook. Doesn't have to be that way all the time.
For sure. And that's going to be interesting to see how the team continues to evolve once they do get into that conference play portion of the schedule. One of the really other things I wanted to touch on regarding their backcourt and LJ Cryer, again, this is against Texas A&M Corpus Christi, but I felt from the get-go throughout the game, he was much more aggressive, not just in looking for a shot, but being able to create shots for others. And when you look at his assists, they don't necessarily stand out. Only 3 assists, but I think there were a couple times where he was aggressive driving, getting into the paint, which has been key for Houston going back to those 3 losses again against much different caliber teams in Auburn, Alabama, and San Diego State. But that was an area that Houston really struggled in. And going back to what you said, Kris, where one of the reasons for that, they haven't really had a consistent threat in the low post to be able to kind of get into the paint that way. There's going to be stretches, especially once they get into conference play, where they might have to rely on those guards to get into the paint and create shots for others. What did you see from LJ Cryer in this game in regards to being a little bit of that playmaker at stretches, and obviously, of course, also being aggressive and looking for his shots as well?
Key for LJ is being aggressive, is being on balance on his jump shot, square to the basket, but being on balance and not leaning left or to the right unnecessarily. That's a plus. Getting into the paint, the Cougs don't have in that backcourt elite quickness. to just blow past their defenders. But that does not mean they can't get into the paint. They just have to be more creative. They have to use the angles to their advantage, use the screens coming off their screen tighter to negate any advantage that the defense may have. LJ can get into the paint. He just does it differently. Then he has to make the right decision in the right read, whether it's to go to the floater or kick it to a teammate in the corner. He can do that. I think he's getting more comfortable in that role of being a facilitator when necessary and balancing that with being a three-point threat and a three-point sniper that he is very capable of being.
Well, looking again at just the final numbers overall for this game, field goal percentage, like we mentioned again, Houston had a really good offensive performance. Finished shooting 49% from the field, 26 of 53 overall. Their bread and butter in this game was the 3-point line, 14 of 29 shooting from behind the arc. They took care of the ball, which is another key component that we've touched on for this Cougars team. Only had 8 turnovers, which is about their season average so far. And mainly this is where they were another aspect where, besides just being on fire from the 3-point line, but really being able to suffocate Texas A&M Corpus Christi. And even though they only forced 13 turnovers, they turned those 13 turnovers into 27 points against Texas A&M Corpus Christi. So that's going to be something.
Yes, say that again. Say that again.
They turned those 13 Texas A&M Corpus Christi turnovers into 27 points, which is it's phenomenal.
It is phenomenal.
That's more than 2 points per turnover.
Yes. Because ideally, coaches will tell you they would like to convert points off turnovers, 1 point per turnover.
Mm-hmm.
So roughly, 13 turnovers. You like to score 13 points off those turnovers. The Cougs scored 2 times that many. I mean, over that is obscene. It is another example of a 3-point shooting by the team today, which goes into their scoring 1.5 points per possession. This team, and again, we got to keep saying it. A&M Corpus Christi is not a Big 12 team. They're not a Big 12 caliber team. I sure hope not. Down that bottom, looking at you, Kansas State. But this Cougs team, I think, is quite capable. They have to get it done clearly in these 20 Big 12 conference games. But this team is quite capable of winning games with their 3-point shooting. Yes, their defense travels. The game in Stillwater on the 30th will be a test because it's a road game. It's a road conference game. Oklahoma State is better under, I think, the former coach, Steve Lutz, I think, was at A&M Corpus Christi, I think, ironically, last season. So it's going to be a test. I'm looking forward to it because, starting conference play on the road, it's going to be a grind. What does Kellen Sampson like to say all about road games?
All road games are street fights.
There you go. So the first street fight starts on December 30th. Looking forward to it.
Yes, sir. Once again, I'd like to thank everybody that's taking the time out of their Saturday afternoon to join us on this edition of Let's Rage Coogs. And of course, we also like to say thank you once again to our primary sponsor of today's episode of Let's Rage Coogs, and that is Mr. Steve Saxenian. So big thank you to him for being the primary sponsor of not only today's episode of Let's Rage Coogs, but each and every single post-game show after each football and men's basketball game. So big thank you to him for being a primary sponsor. Of course, also big thank you to Stars Pizza for being a secondary sponsor on today's episode of Let's Reach Cougs. Specifically, a big thank you to Mike and Jennifer Pittman. Be sure to visit any one of their 3 locations throughout the Houston area, or visit them online at starpizza.net or on social media at starpizzahou. They constantly have various deals that they promote on their social media pages, and be sure to check them out on Tuesdays and Fridays at any one of their locations for their all-you-can-eat pizza buffet special during lunchtime. And when you do visit Star Pizza, tell them that you heard about them on Let's Rage Cougs. Really, final thoughts on this edition of Let's Rage Cougs. Again, final score from the Fertitta Center, Houston, comes out victorious 87-51 against Texas A&M Corpus Christi in what is the final non-conference game of the season for 24-25 for the Cougars. Finish 8-3. Now that the non-conference slate is in the rearview mirror overall, What did you think? What did you see from Houston those first 11 games as they prepare for Big 12 conference play?
And I think the announcer said it. This is the Cougs' 100th win at Fertitta Center.
Mm-hmm.
Record of 106. 106.
That is absurd.
Indeed, it's a second golden era in Houston Cougars men's basketball. I want to answer E.I. Crabtree's question. Yes, I am seeing improvement since the beginning of the season. Offensively, they're playing faster. Coach Sampson has said it, that he knows that this team needs to play faster. It's up to him and the staff to figure out ways to get this team to play faster, play with more pace. They're doing that. That's a positive. Terrence Arsenault being healthy is a positive. Terrence Arsenault has a lot in his bag on offense. His offensive versatility is a plus for this team. He just needs to be consistent on the boards, because you get Terrence Arsenault consistently give you double-figure points, but also give you 6-7 rebounds a game. That's a plus, because then you combine him with Emmanuel Sharp's points, LJ Cryer's points. Then you have a good, legit three-headed monster right there. And then you just accept whatever you get offensively from Milos Uzan, Juwan Roberts. JoJo will get you points around the rim, put back, things like that. But JoJo will get you rebounds, block shots, and tenacious defense. So Terrence Arsenault, a healthy Terrence Arsenault, a consistent Terrence Arsenault on both ends of the floor is a big plus for this team. Now they got to get everybody healthy first, and then stay healthy as possible as the season progresses.
Most definitely. If there's one area of concern, what would it be?
Defense rebounding.
Yep.
Defense rebounding. That's it. They got to do better. I mean, there are times, like I said, bad luck happens sometimes. But even if you don't finish the possession with the defensive board on the second or the first try, as long as the team doesn't score on the second try and you finally get the defensive rebound, that helps. Just don't allow second chance points. That's a key.
I'm going to be curious to see, because we know it's going to happen eventually. They're going to be tested again in crunch time. They have to make plays in the final moments with the game on the line. And I'm curious to see how Houston is able to execute in those 3 losses against Alabama, Auburn, San Diego State. Execution at times, not necessarily obviously how Houston wanted it to go down. And that was a big reason for them coming out on the losing side of those 3 games instead of the winning side. So I'll be curious to see how they execute in those late game situations again. Eventually, once it arises, it very well could be December 30th when they find themselves in that situation again. And that's going to be something that over the course of conference play, and obviously once they get into March, because Big 12 conference play is going to be a gauntlet, and once they get into the Big 12 tournament, they're going to try to do as best as possible. But we've mentioned from the beginning, this is a team that they really have their eyes set on the big championship, and that is the national championship come that first Monday in April, I should say. And they're going to have to be able to execute much better than they did in those 3 non-conference losses. So I think that's going to be interesting to see how they fare when they eventually find themselves in that position again.
And to your point right there, I think Terrence can be huge in that, because if Terrence is healthy and can play more minutes, then you have on the floor Terrence, Emmanuel, and LJ. Then you got 3 different options. Who are teams going to stop? Who are teams going to go at? Because they say, well, if you double team Arsenault, then you're going to leave LJ, Emmanuel Sharp open. If you double team LJ, then so Terrence can really help mitigate a lot of potential issues with him because of his skill set, his offense, his bag, as the youngster like to say, if they still say that. Y'all still say that, Auntie? The bag?
Yeah, they do.
Okay, good. Thank you for saying that. Appreciate that.
Most definitely. Once again, the final score: Houston comes out victorious, 87-51, to improve to 8-3 on the 24-25 season. Next time they take the court will be in Stillwater, Oklahoma, when they begin Big 12 conference play against the Oklahoma State Cowboys. That'll be December 30th, a 7 p.m. tip-off Central Time. and will be streaming on ESPN Plus. So that will be the next time that the Cougars take the court. So they get 9 days of well, not really rest, but 9 games in between the game today against Texas A&M Corpus Christi and that Oklahoma State game. Real quickly before I toss it over to you, Kris, just wanted to again send prayers to Tank Dell for the injury that he suffered during the Texans Chiefs game. It was a real gruesome and brutal injury that he suffered, which is you hate to see, considering that he had to battle a different leg injury just a year ago, and now he's going to have to go through that whole process again. But hopefully, it's a speedy recovery, and you just hate to see it. But that's really the only thing we can do at this point is hope for a speedy recovery and that he's able to bounce back as effectively and as quickly as he was a year ago. And just tough to see.
Yeah, I saw my colleague Adolphus A.D. Moore. He tweeted it that Tank was carted off the field in an inflatable leg cast, and that's always a sign of a broken leg, gruesome injury. So yeah, awful for him. Wish him a healthy recovery. Tank, just follow your rehab and just look to the doctors. And he's been through before. It's a shame he has to go through it again. But everyone, Andy, as we wrap it up here, and everybody, thank you for joining us on this afternoon. I'm going to say all of them because I don't want folks to get upset. Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. Happy Kwanzaa. Season's greetings. Happy holidays to everyone. Enjoy your time with your friends and family and your loved ones. And business thing, because I didn't even realize it, that the Cougs game at Oklahoma State is going to be on ESPN Plus. Hey, I got to put it out there. As a web affiliate of ESPN Plus, you can go to the website HoustonRoundBarReview.com and purchase ESPN Plus if you haven't already done so, because LJ Cryer is one of the players mentioned or promoted in the promotion for ESPN Plus this season for Big 12 basketball. It's LJ, Hunter Dickinson, and for some reason, the Wichita State Shocker mascot as well as part of the promotion for ESPN.
For the Big 12?
It's not a Big 12 thing. It's ESPN Plus.
Oh, okay.
So their promotion, but you have two Big 12 players in the Wichita State.
Interesting.
I don't know, but so if you want to, just go to my website, click on the link and purchase it, and I'll receive a small commission for it. It all adds up as Andy and I continue to provide coverage of the Cougs and basketball and sports content going forward into another year for all of us, 2025. Looking forward to it.
Yes, sir. Big thank you to once again everybody that tuned in. TI7791, EI Crabtree, Wanda Polk, Big Jack 512, and Ignacio Pinto Leon. Big thank you to him for taking the time to come on the show as he thanked us.
You picked the wrong one. See, he spelled my name right on the second one. See?
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, no worries. It's all good.
Kris with a K, the right way to spell it. No H. Yep. As you say, Kris. But big thank you to you guys. Just really reiterate what Kris just said. Enjoy the next few days, hopefully with friends and family, and being able to enjoy a good time for the holiday season. And we'll see you guys again December 30th when Houston takes on Oklahoma State in Stillwater. Outside of that, big thank you. If you haven't done so already, be sure to hit the like button and the subscribe button on whichever platform you may be watching us, whether it be on the Houston Roundball Review YouTube channel, the Potsdam Pajama YouTube channel. Maybe you're watching us via X on the platform. Be sure to give us a follow. This is your first time ever interacting with Potsdam Pajama. For those of you, if you're just new, we do this after each and every single football and men's basketball game. So we're going to be doing this up until March and hopefully up until the first Monday in April this season throughout. So be sure to hit the like button if you haven't done so, or follow us. And just a big thank you overall. Kris, I'll toss it over to you. Any final thing you want to plug and sign us out, sir?
Yeah, I want to say this, and Andy, I hope it's okay. I'm gonna
go ahead.
You know where I'm kind of going with this. Cougar friends, Cougar family, Cougar Nation. Andy and I would love the opportunity, with your help and assistance, Andy, get ready to plug the email advertising.
Oh, let me get it ready.
We would like to attend and cover the Cougs either in the Big 12 tournament and or the Cougs in the NCAA tournament. So if you are interested and willing to help us with some finances, with some dollars, reach out to Andy at that email, letsragecoogs@gmail.com, and help us reach our goal of covering the Cougs, because we can do the post-game shows from our house.
From anywhere. Yes, sir.
But we would like to be able to do some of the post-game shows from the arena or the hotel in the city the game is taking place. So if you can help out, if you are able, reach out to Andy and email us and work with us, and we work with you to cover the Cougs. 2025 is almost here, so let's have a bigger and better year, and always onward and upward. And as I like to say it, the Houston Round Ball Review, since 1994, local name, global perspective. And lastly, for Andy and my brother Dayon, I'm going to say it for him, go Cougs.